Hello there. What a beautiful day. It's the 8th of February. Mid-morning, we're already pushing 60. Mostly sunny and breezy. Feels like winter's over and we're into early spring already. So I'm currently on the Lewis and Clark Trail, one of the sections we're there together. And it's busy, of course. It's a Thursday, but I'd never try this on a weekend, not anymore. And I just passed a hiker who said that Monday, this is Thursday, Monday we're supposed to have 2.5 inches of snow. That's just crazy. But that's what I love about being in the Midwest. So I've been thinking lately about how there are pros and cons to most things in life. Take work, for example. For me, I'm currently part-time. That's a pro. The pay's not bad. I get to choose my schedule. Another pro, it allows me to do these videos. The people I work with are great. I enjoy being around them. The con? Well, really the only con, other than having to be there instead of doing something like this, is it's mostly boring. It allows me to do this, so it's worth it. So I'm just walking the edge of this field right now. See if there's anything interesting around here. It's just off the trail. I was thinking about another pro and con to doing these videos weekly. The pro is that I need to keep the variety up. So it's taken me to a lot of places I'd never been before and has me doing things like tarp camping, things I'd never done before. The con is I'm kind of away from what feels like home to me. The Wilderness Spring Conservation Area is close to where I live, and I've explored it for so many years. Boy, there are a lot of deer tracks out here in this field. And I bushwhacked all over the place here. 17,000 acres to explore, so you can never see it all. And there's so many interesting things that you'll just stumble across out in the woods that really keeps it interesting. And I don't get out here very often. But I have a specific reason to be here today. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. I see something interesting ahead. See this flag tape? I bet I know the gentleman that did this. There's one deeper into the woods. Let's find out what it's for. Well, here we have a couple of old T-posts. And barbed wire fence. I don't know if that's what the flags were to lead me to, or if there's something more back here, but I don't see any more flags. I'm going to poke around a bit and we'll see. Well, there's a couple more T-posts and the barbed wire running down into the valley. I think that's about it. That's all I can see here. Well, that's kind of interesting. Back in the day, who knows? Well, I figured while I was here I'd just explore a little bit more. We've got 3 more T-posts in a line and some blue tape, flag tape up on a tree to the right. Well, I'm going to have to continue going now. Well, I feel like I may have missed something. I don't know. That's all I could find. Dave, if you're watching this video and I did miss something, please let me know in the comments below. I'm going to continue to skirt the edge of this field, then head on back to the trail. Well, here's the field we've been exploring. We came into this off the trail through the woods, kind of at that end. and off to the left a bit. This field dog legs around, goes to my right, several hundred feet. It looks like the Conservation Department just keeps it mowed. What's interesting though is there's a lane behind the camera to another field. And quite frankly, I had a few definite destinations today, but I wanted to just poke around in a new area. So we're gonna do that. So this area out here does feel like home to me. I've wandered around here so much through the years. I always have a general sense of where I am on the land. Now to get back to the car. Oh, look at this. Wow, this is one very pretty feather. We'll see what this other field has to offer. Well, that lane entered another very large field with multiple lanes coming off the corners of this field. I'm fairly certain I know where I am. I'm sure I've been here before. The Conservation Department maintains this lane from the Lewis Trail, well, Highway 94 to the Lewis Trail. And then they have this big field, short lane through the woods to another field, short lane through the woods to a third field, and then you're on the Lewis Trail, the River Bluff end of that. I've cut through here quite a bit. So we're going to go back to where we left off on the Lewis and Clark Trail earlier. So there's another explorer way back at the back end of this field. Why is it always old guys? You younger people need to get out and do this. It's a blast. So I was near the end of the field to go back into the woods, back to the trail, back where I entered the field. And looking through the woods, this is directly opposite where we entered and followed the fence line earlier. Right across the field from there, I saw this sort of flat area and some perfectly vertical posts. And nothing's really straight in nature, especially in woods like these. So that generally is an indication of something man-made. I came in here into the woods to investigate. I've got a T-post here with more barbed wire. I don't see it running down into the valley this way, but there's a T-post over here behind this tree. And a fence post here. So this area was all fenced in at one time. And the trail's about 50 feet behind me. I just saw some people walking by with their dogs. A survey marker. Boy, even just a few feet from the edge of the field, I don't know that you'd find that. Well, now that we've wrestled the briars for a bit, we're back on the trail till our next jump-off point. Love the sound of the wind in the trees. So we're barely down the trail, 100 feet maybe. We've got another series of marker tape going off into the woods. I'm loving this, man. I didn't expect all this. I'm going to have to tell you about this really neat guy I met a couple of weeks ago because I really think he's the one that marked all this. So not only has this been flagged, but some brush has been cleared to make it easier to get through here as well. I'm a little conflicted though because I've got flag tape off here, in this direction, and I've got it going down this way too. I think we'll go here first and then try and find our way back and go down there. Wow, this is exciting. I love exploring new areas. It's just a blast. So by going right, we're up in a flat area on the ridge line. And the tape goes back as far as I could see from here. Going to the left, I would have gone down into the valley off to the left side. I'm not sure what would be down there. But I've got to tell you about this really neat guy I met a couple of weeks ago. So I've got a retail job, my part-time job, and during the day you have customers walk up to you with questions. And this gentleman walks up. I said, "Excuse me." And I said, "Hi, how can I help you?" Look at these tapes. They're great. And they're close enough to see the next one. And he goes, "You're Tim. Tim from YouTube." I was so taken off guard. I didn't know what to say. It's like, somebody recognized me from my videos? Gosh, I thought I was the only one that watched them. That was so cool. Anyway, his name's Dave. And I'm not going to tell you his last name because I didn't ask permission to mention him in a video. And I should have thought to do that because he is a really neat guy. I'm going this way. And he spends more time out here than I do. He's out here every day, it sounds like. And he's done way more exploring than I have. So it was great. We were swapping stories about different things we found out here and where they are. And this is what gave me a new opportunity to come out to a place I love. When I first started making videos, more than the first half year, maybe at least the first 8 or 9 months of my videos were in this area because I knew of all these things to bushwhack to and explore out in the middle of the woods. Wow, this is really going back. And of course I was learning how to make a video. Here's another one. How to upload it to YouTube, how to edit it. My technical savvy skills were pretty much zero. So I started from scratch. And it's been fun. But we're still up on the ridgeline. So Dave was telling me about how he put a map laminated up at the kiosk at the trailhead for the Lewis and Clark Trail. I'll show you a picture of that now. And he told me about a waterfall back here. He mentioned this huge foundation from an old government building. I didn't catch exactly where they were though. He said they were on the map. So I studied the map and it looks like maybe it was printed from All Trails. It had his route on there. And I'm not a member or subscribed to All Trails. We are in a huge flat area and some trees have been cut down recently. Oh, this is cool. I'm hoping we're at our destination. No? Ooh, the flags keep going. Maybe Dave didn't flag this and the conservation department did. Since somebody had a chainsaw back here, that is obvious. Lots and lots of cedars. In fact, they only cut the cedars down. So maybe that was their goal in coming back here, was to clear out the cedars. You know what, I'm going to poke around and I'll get back to you. I'm hoping that I find something, but we'll see. That was a large cedar. Wow. Well, this had to be the conservation department. They dropped all the cedars and standing dead trees, cut all the grapevine, everything that was choking out the woods. This will open the woods up more, provide good feed and forage for the deer and turkey and wildlife that are in this area. So that had to be it. And besides, this part was not on Dave's map at the kiosk anyway. So we're gonna get back to the trail and carry on to our next stepping off point. So we're just on the Clark Trail now, and we just left the intersection where the Lewis and Clark Trails join, and we're heading down this long steep hill, and that'll be at the bottom our next jump off point. I took a picture of Dave's map at the kiosk with my phone, and I'm hoping to kind of follow his bushwhack that he had marked out there. It should lead us to a waterfall, and then I'll bushwhack as we go into the bottom of the valley, and then we'll come up out of there, and it should be an old homestead with a cistern next to it. That was on Dave's map. Then we'll get back on the Lewis and Clark Trail towards the beginning section, and there were 3 other dots that he had marked on his map, but he didn't write on the map what they were for. I know he said there's a large foundation from one of the old government buildings out here somewhere. I'd like to find that. This homestead would be cool. I forgot the name of it, but the picture I showed of his map earlier should have it on there. And that'll be a new one for me. And then while we're here, we'll probably hit the Pittman Cemetery. I had that in an earlier video, but we won't be that far away from it. And bushwhack our way back to the car from the Pittman Cemetery. So I'll get back to you when we're at the bottom of the hill. Okay, there's a lot of guesswork involved with this on my part. We're still towards the top of the hill on the Clark Trail. Based on Dave's map, I thought it'd be right at the bottom of the hill when we get into the valley for this waterfall, but I see this long line of flag tape going steeply, and I mean steeply, down this hill. Now the Conservation Department has marked so much out here that it's been difficult to know if it's going to be their stuff or if maybe this is something Dave did. But I'm thinking this is close enough to where it looks like Dave got off trail and started his bushwhack to the waterfall. This may be it. I won't be able to film this because I'm going to have to use the tripod to help me get down to the bottom of this hill into the valley. Let's see what we find. I hope this is it because I don't want to come back up to the trail just to go back down. Well, this is it, and it's really quite beautiful. The creek is barely flowing right now. After a rain, this would really be something. But I find it beautiful as it is, mossy, trickling water. Thanks, Dave. Never knew this was here. So what we need to do is come up the other side of the valley that we went down on and find the Chester Paul homestead, which has also a cistern marked next to it. It's about a half mile from here. And hopefully we find that, and then we'll head back to the Lewis and Clark Trail on the other side of the homestead. Let me show you this valley that we're in. It's really steep and pretty. So we came down from the left side. We're going to go up the right side. Hope we find that homestead. Well, we're in luck. Dave flagged his route, and this side's not as steep. Thank you again, Dave. I really appreciate this. I'm so glad we met. What a wealth of knowledge. You know, it'd be cool. What if you started your own YouTube channel, you put your adventures up? I'd watch every one of them. That'd be great. All right, uphill we go. Whew. All right, here towards the top of the valley, looks like another Conservation Department cut of cedars. Dave's tape's going up off to the left, almost to the top. Wow, this is pretty back in here. I bushwhacked a lot in the Lewis and Clark Trail area, but never in this section that we're in now. All I can say is I hope that these are Dave's tapes I'm following and not the Conservation Department. Either way, it's really pretty back in here. A lot of steep valleys, washes and valleys, just one to after the next. It's really neat. Ooh, a big tree just broke off and fell down at the bottom of that valley. All right, we're almost to the top of another valley. You can see behind me and really all around me are just dropped cedars. So Conservation Department is doing a cedar eradication out here. That's interesting. I never knew that there's anything bad about cedars. I'm gonna have to research that later. That's pretty neat. So once again, I hope the flags I'm following are Dave's and not theirs. That tree must have been huge. That was so loud, it was a gunshot going off at first. Wow. Here we go. Man, I hate to say this, but this area looks really familiar. You know, when we came out of that field and went across the trail and explored these flags, I think we're right back there. If so, I lost some distance. Let's find out. You're not going to believe it, but that's what happened. We are exactly back where we started, almost. The field's right there. The first time I wandered off following those orange flags, right there. And where I got off this trail for the waterfall is way back there. So now I'm not sure if that's the waterfall that Dave was talking about. It could just be an accidental find. So what I'm going to do, after making a big old loop through the woods, that was a long one too, walk back the trail down to the bottom of the hill on the Clark Trail, and then see if maybe that's where Dave's waterfall's at. Catch you later. Well, if there's one thing I've learned for the rest of this day, I'm going to work off hunches, kind of follow my gut. My strongest hunch right now, don't follow orange flag tape. Alright, so the trail makes this 90 degree to the left, and looking at Dave's map, it looks like this is where we would go straight for about 2/10 of a mile to reach that waterfall. It's just a hunch. Let's see if we can find it. I don't think this is Dave's route. This is even steeper than the last time. In fact, it's pretty much straight down. I don't think that's Dave's route. So I'm going back to the trail. I'll follow it to the bottom of the valley and then go up creek from there. That seems to be a much easier route. Peanut butter chocolate chip cookie bites. Strawberry flavored electrolytes. Oh, life is good. Alright, while I was taking a break there, I was studying Dave's map and thinking about where he showed jumping off the trail. He went to the right, which actually would have taken us back to where we went down to the waterfall. So I'm fairly confident that's the waterfall Dave was mentioning. Only Dave could answer yes or no on that one for sure though. But I'm pretty sure that was it. And I know I've walked upstream on this creek from the bottom of the valley quite a ways. Never as far as that waterfall was though, but I'm pretty sure that had to be it. It's mostly at the valley bottom where there's not really a slope for a waterfall up until that point. So what I'm going to do is try and find, he mentions on his map, the Red Tree Trail, which is a bushwhack, and a fire department access, which I'm not sure where that would be. I've never seen that. It's off trail too. If I could find those, I think I could find that Chester Paul homestead. And one thing that's not on the map is, David mentioned that huge foundation for a government building. So I have no idea where to look for that. But hopefully I run across Dave again someday. And now that I've done this hike, I have a better idea of kind of where to go. Man, I wish I would have worn shorts today and some trail runners with some ventilated socks. 2.5 inches of snow in 4 days from now, that just doesn't sound right. Okay, so on Dave's map it shows the Red Tree Trail, which is just a bushwhack, starts here, and if you look coming up these steps, there is a pretty well-defined path just going off into the woods. For 2/10 of a mile, kind of like 1/10 of a mile this way, make a left for another 10, and it'll hit what he shows as fire department access, which I think is an old roadbed, old dirt roadbed I've been on 100 times. I'm curious to see if I'm right. And we could take that up towards the Paul Chester homestead for about 0.6 of a mile. So good. It's good to be getting back in the woods and off the trail. Actually, for a Thursday, it's pretty crowded, but the weather's beautiful, so it makes sense. Okay, so it's been about a year, maybe a little more, since I've been out here. And it makes sense now. This is new since I've been here. Someone established a new trail, maybe Dave, and painted the trees. It looks like it's faded, so it's not really fresh. But you can see the large oak back there is painted. A few more trees past that are painted. Oh, this is cool. Another new place. I like it. Boy, there is a lot of blowdown up here. We're on a ridge line. Must get a lot of wind up here. I've heard 2 trees blow over so far today, and it's just mildly breezy today. Wow, that was really neat. Owls don't make any noise when they fly. If I wouldn't have seen him fly from the tree down to the ground, I wouldn't have known he was there. He's just right here close to the trail. And he's so well camouflaged too. That's pretty cool. Alright, so this is the fire department access. I've been on this road hundreds of times. Actually, this is the most cleared I've ever seen it. So it's had some recent maintenance. So about 0.6 of a mile, and on the left will be the Chester Paul home in a cistern. All the times I've been up and down this old road, never knew that was there, so I'm hoping I can find it. I remember coming down this old dirt road one time in the dark of night. This was built by the government in the early 40s. Well, you can see there's some old government fence posts back there from probably 41, 42 at the latest. And anyway, kind of got caught off guard. I wasn't paying attention to the time. It didn't have a flashlight, and it was a no moon night. It was pitch black. I was up on the Lewis and Clark Trail and knew that this was a shortcut, and it's pretty wide, so hopefully I'd be able to follow it back to the trailhead. And I'm kind of moving along through the woods, just kind of slow and sensing my way, and get close to the trailhead. And there was another guy out here without a light, and he was up on the trail, almost to the trailhead. And I bumped into him. We scared the crap out of each other. But together we made it back to our cars. Things that happen to you in the woods. So over here we have an old stock pond, dried up now. You know, usually a farmer would build something like this just to hold enough water for cows or pigs, whatever livestock they had. I'm assuming this is not what Dave referenced as a cistern on his map, because that would be some kind of boxed in enclosure or tank or something, usually with a tap, and it could provide, through gravity usually, some kind of running water into a house, or for, you know, back when flush toilets were brand new. I grew up with a set of grandparents that still had an outhouse, so yeah, I remember that. Anyway, I'm going to explore around just to make sure this isn't it, but I don't think we've come that far down this road yet. You know, seeing this old stock pond here, it makes me think that maybe this road was prior to the government taking over the land and people just lived off of it. I could see that. We did have 3 towns in this local area back then, so that may be it. You know, it's kind of interesting to consider how much the way we live in this country has changed in relatively recent history, really. I mean, now we're primarily consolidated in these metropolitan areas, but it used to be we had little towns dotting the landscape. I found so much evidence of it just out here in Missouri in the middle of the woods. What is the woods now? It was not then, though. We had people living everywhere back then, and it's just kind of concentrated in these little areas. That's too bad, in a sense. We've kind of lost touch with our ability to be self-reliant and let the land provide something for us. Well, there's no evidence of an old homestead right around here, and I really didn't think there would be. So we're going to go back to that fire access road and just continue down. Look what I found, and it's not orange. Dave came through for me again, well, for all of us really. I'm pretty sure that this is Dave. Across the road is another one, 3/10 of a mile down into this valley is that waterfall. So we're going to go back here. It looks like a bit of a path, and we should find the cistern and hopefully the foundation from the homestead. Thanks, Dave. Oh, also the markings for the Scott McRoberts Cemetery and the trail that was clear to those, Dave did that as well a couple of years, a year or two ago, I guess, probably. So, I mean, he's just done so much work out here. It's just fantastic. Thanks. Wow, we are just off the road, 30 feet maybe. I already see the concrete for either the cistern or the foundation. I mean, I honestly have probably walked that road 100 times and never noticed it was here. That is awesome. So after we check this out, I'm probably going to make that 3/10 of a mile hike down into the valley to the waterfall just to make sure we had the right one earlier. Let's go see what this is. All right, so here's probably what Dave's referring to as the cistern, or I would maybe consider it a well if it held water. It looks fairly dry at the bottom. There's an old wash bucket down there, maybe 10, 12 feet deep. Wow, that would be a lot of work. This looks like it was part of the well pump. Definitely, this went down in the well. You had your pump handle up here. Water came out here. I've seen all different kinds of well pumps, but this box is about the biggest box I've ever seen for one. Well, this is a fairly large house. This is so great. Thanks, Dave. I'm so glad we met. I'm thinking this is a collapsed chimney. It's all brick and concrete. And it's certainly shaped like a chimney with a flue. Okay, so this is the part of the house opposite the chimney. We have a lot of collapsed foundation wall over here. A center pillar support for the joist. Oh, there's some yuccas, would have been landscape plants, which means this may have been the front of the house. I'd love to see a picture of this when it was in good shape. And it looks like Dave's flagged a path going down the hill into the valley back here. Let's find out what's there. Alright, so on Dave's map, he had a dotted line for the Lewis and Clark Trail, and then he had this solid blue line, which looks like the path that he would have taken with, I think there were 4 or 5 marked waypoints on it. All of them were green except for one, which was black. And so I really don't know what that symbolizes, if it means it's like a type of structure or something different. But it looks like if we continue on down into the valley, we're going from the green one, which is here at the homestead, to whatever his next waypoint is, which he did not have anything written down for, so I'm not sure what to expect. We're sure going to find out. Here you can see the yucca. Makes me assume this was the front of the house. Probably later in the spring we'll have daffodils come up around here too. Alright, this is a little steep, Dave. Where are you taking me? Alright, I'm down in this drainage area and about to go up this steep hill. I have a feeling that that black waypoint was right on the Lewis and Clark Trail, and that maybe all it was just a marker for that. If so, then we'll kind of take an easier way back because I want to go hit that waterfall. Yeah, we are in late afternoon. I'm pretty sure we have enough time though. And I do carry a flashlight these days. Alright, we're heading down into another steep ravine, which makes me wonder how Dave finds his way around through these hills and valleys. They're really steep. I mean, do you do it the way I do? It's kind of just by a hunch, a sense of where you are? Or do you have some technology, some GPS or something that you're using? Can't wait till we meet again. I've got so many questions. Alright, so we're back on the Lewis and Clark Trail. That was fun. The wind is really picking up and the clouds are starting to move in. I haven't looked at the weather in a week or so. We may have storms coming in, I'm not sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm heading in the direction of the trail towards the trailhead. Maybe half mile before the trailhead, we'll get to the other end of that fire access road and go back down it. I'm determined to find that waterfall and make sure I had the right one. Alright, see you down the trail. Trail, fire access road. You know, thinking about that Chester Paul homestead, it surprises me how much is out here that I feel like I could name off a few dozen cemeteries and homesteads just off the top of my head, you know. But how many of them are out here? I have no idea are here, or even where to look. So there's got to be so much out here. The history is just rich. Great place to explore. All right, homestead, waterfall. Let's go find that waterfall. Wow, look at how well marked this is. Flags everywhere. That is great. Man, this is steep. Fortunately, going up is easier than going down. Dave, you do some sketchy stuff. All right, down to the bottom of the ravine, not the valley in front of us, but look at these beautiful sycamores down there. This will not be the same waterfall that we were at earlier. This is beautiful, the spring flowing out of the rock at the bottom of the hill. Actually, I've been here before. If you look at my video from last winter, it was called Creek Walking and Finding the Pittman Cemetery. I walked this creek from near the trailhead. There's an old roadbed that goes down into a valley and then drops off into this creek. And I walked it all the way down to where the Lewis and Clark Trail is, right by the Missouri River. And this was in here, and I want to say, if I remember correctly, it was icy and frozen. And anyway, watch that, because on Dave's map today we found everything that was on it except for the Pittman Cemetery, and that's in the video I did last year. So then you can find pretty much everything that I know about out here. But Dave, I don't know, he's a wealth of knowledge. He probably knows about other things that are out here too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk upstream. It's mostly dry, and there's some old, like an old dam, if it hasn't washed out yet. I think last time I was there it was fairly well washed out. And we'll go back to the car that way. I was going to go back the way we came down here to the fire road, but this way it gives us a different way back to the car. So this was a surprise. I just met two fellow explorers, two older ladies. One of them was bringing her friend out here to show her the spring that we were at earlier. That's so cool. It's just fun to run across people that, you know, surprisingly know about these things that are so remote. I guess maybe it's not such a secret. Boy, there was a lot more water in this creek last winter. You never know what you'll find out in the woods. This structure used to be in the hillside here on the bank. It washed out maybe 3 years ago. You see pieces of it still on the bank. This way to the trailhead. Dave must have been here at one time. It's 4 o'clock. Sun's down below the ridge line. Breeze picked up a bit and it's cooled off quite a lot. So this little trail up out of the creek bed comes here. We're just above the bottom of the valley here. There's an old dirt road which is pretty much as wide as that fire access road was. This is to the trailhead, and this loops down into the valley. I've never explored this valley, and it's, you know, it's a little late, but let's take a peek anyway. Looks like maybe the Conservation Department brush hogged this last year. This is nice and clear. Last time I was here, I couldn't really make it this far because it was so brushy. This is kind of neat. Another new place for me. I know I'm running out of daylight, but I just can't resist. There are culvert pipes all over the place down here. We're paralleling the creek off to our right. well into the line for the brush hogged path. I have no idea why they did that. It's kind of neat, but there's the game trail deeper into the valley. Or I could jump down to the creek over here. I've got to check it out. Well, I'm not really finding much, but it's just really interesting how there are culvert pipes stuck in the hillsides on both sides of this valley, kind of like the one here roughly in the middle of the picture. That's a smaller one. There's some that I can almost stand up in. I'm sure the government had something back here at one time. Well, I'm pretty far back in this valley. Nowhere near the end yet, though. Every time I want to turn around, something new pops up. So I'm going to carry on. As long as there's daylight. Well, this valley carries on, but it's narrowed a lot. It's almost down to where it's only the creek, but if you look at this mound off to the right, it's just a big pile of rocks, definitely man-made. And it curves around, kind of dams up directly in front of us. So we'll get up to that, and then I'll probably turn around and head back. Alright, we're still up on this mound of rock, but it's definitely wide enough to have been a roadbed. And here's some chain link fence on the ground that this tree is actually grown through and is anchoring it to the ground. So I'm running out of daylight, but I've got to follow it a bit more. Curiosity's getting the best of me now. Alright, that mound of rock is just turned into a creek bank, and the valley's really pinched in pretty tight here, so I don't think this was a road. It looks like it could have been, but I don't know why. What I was really hoping to find in this valley was some old building foundations, something that the government must have had back here, back in the 40s. I didn't see any of that, but I saw maybe at least 15 to 20 culverts on the hillsides, and then down here in the valley where it would have had roads, roads going over it. So it's really curious. They did something down here. Always be a mystery for me, probably. And we're going to head back. You see here in the middle of the screen the two culvert pipes sticking out. There's actually some erosion cloth over the top of that too. So they drained up or dammed up this drainage area and put the culvert pipe in. It's been there a long, long time. Those are nowhere near new. But the erosion cloth looks like it may be. What a mystery. A piece of old pipe. These are all over the place out here. Well, maybe the conservation department made this path for deer hunters. They have to be, I think, 500 feet off the trails when they're hunting out here. This is conservation land. That's my best guess. Well, we're back on this old roadbed. This will take us up to the top of the hill. Comes out on the trail quite close to the trailhead parking lot, actually. There's blue flag tape all along the road here. I don't know who put that up. I noticed it ran the creek bed too. That's kind of weird. Well, this has really been a fun and productive day. I got to see a new little waterfall. It's quite pretty. Just kind of down a ravine off the trail. And then the spring I hadn't seen in a year, and that was probably my second time really to be there. Homestead I never knew existed before. It was really cool. And explore that valley finally. I've been thinking about doing that for so long. Now I know there's nothing there, but now I know. So we're close to the trail. It's going to be quite busy up there by the trailhead, so it's a good time to say goodbye. Thanks for coming along. See you next week. Bye-bye.